Well, the Canadian e-commerce firm Shopify will cut about 10% of its workforce. The CEO says the decision to expand rapidly coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, well, it didn't pay off. For more, let's bring in David George Cosh of BNN Bloomberg. David, thank you as always for joining us. Walk us how we actually got here to this point of widespread layoffs.
Well, we saw how Shopify's stock really rapidly rose over the course of the pandemic. I mean, this was a pandemic darling, as everyone really, when they were sitting at home and nothing much to do, turned to build a company. And Shopify was one of those companies that essentially allowed a lot of consumers to start their own companies online. And with that e-commerce boom, the company needed to rapidly expand, essentially doubling its workforce from 2019 from 5,000 to 10,000 that we see today. Of course, they're reducing that workforce amount by 1,000. Impacting folks in recruiting, support, and sales. But Mr. Lutke, Tobi Lutke, the company's founder and CEO, essentially saying in a memo to the company's staff today, saying, we made a bet that this would be a permanent shift to e-commerce. That bet didn't pay off, and he's going to own that.
You know, it's interesting to hear you say that, David, in a week where we'll hear from Meta, and people have long looked at the control that Mark Zuckerberg has of that business. This is a company, Shopify, where there was recently a shareholder vote, which really secured for Mr. Lutke some sizable power. What's been the reaction to the fact that he's essentially offering up a mea culpa? Is that a sign that he's ready to move fast, or maybe some concerns about his leadership?
Well, it's certainly, I think, with Mr. Lutke owning and controlling roughly 40% of the company following that decision to create that quote-unquote founder share, it certainly will place a lot of attention on his management going forward. Obviously, the board knows that he has a significant amount of control, which would likely protect the company from any sort of hostile takeover going forward. But that being said, there's now going to be more questions about Shopify's business going forward. That Deliver acquisition, that $2+ billion move to help protect it from supply chain shocks will come into focus as well, and as well as upcoming quarters where that will likely impact margin growth as well. So if you're the board and you're looking at Mr. Lutke's leadership, there may be some questions going forward as to how this company can maintain its aggressive growth strategy.